My name is Elena Hart, and the night my marriage ended didn't come with screaming, slammed doors, or dramatic confessions. It ended quietly, over dinner, in a restaurant that once symbolized everything I believed love was supposed to be. The candle between us flickered, as if it already knew this was the last time it would burn for us. Across the table sat my husband, Daniel Hart, the man I had built my life around for 11 years. He arrived 10 minutes late, didn't apologize, and didn't look at me when he sat down. His phone stayed in his hand, face angled downward, thumb moving with practiced urgency. I didn't ask who he was texting. I already knew. Chloe Mercer, his executive secretary, the woman who had slowly replaced me while I was still legally his wife. I ordered his favorite meal out of habit, not affection. He barely noticed. He cut into the steak, chewed mechanically, smiled at something on his screen, and nodded absently when I spoke, as if I were background noise in a room. He had already left. I told him I was moving out. That finally got his attention. "Where?" he asked, not with concern, but mild inconvenience. "To Oregon, a coastal town. I'm starting over." He blinked once, shrugged, and went back to his phone. "Do whatever you want," he said. "Chloe and I are planning our future. She understands me. She knows how to support a man." That sentence didn't hurt. That's what scared me. Because in that moment, something inside me didn't break it shut off. I wasn't angry. I wasn't devastated. I was finished. This dinner wasn't about closure. It was about release. When he stood up, he placed his credit card on the table, nodded at the waiter, and walked out without looking back. No goodbye. No gratitude. No regret. I sat alone, staring at a plate I couldn't touch, finally understanding the truth. I wasn't losing a husband. I was gaining my freedom. And that quiet decision would change everything. People love to believe marriages end because of one explosive betrayal, a dramatic affair, a scandal, another woman. But my marriage didn't collapse in one moment. It eroded. Slowly, silently, day by day. When Daniel and I first married, we were a team. We were young, ambitious, and hungry to build something together. I believed in him when no one else did. I supported his career, managed our home, and quietly put my own ambitions on pause because I thought that was what love required. As his career rose, something shifted. Daniel didn't become cruel. He became important. His work mattered. His stress mattered. His time mattered. Mine became flexible, optional, invisible. Conversations turned into instructions. Affection turned into absence. I became logistics, not a partner. When I talked about my work, he half listened. When I was tired, he said I had it easy. When I needed support, he reminded me how much pressure he was under. To the outside world, we looked perfect. Polished, successful. Inside, I was living with emotional neglect so subtle it took years to name. Daniel never insulted me outright. He did something worse. He dismissed me. I learned to stop asking questions. I learned to stop expecting appreciation. I learned to shrink. I told myself this was marriage. That love meant endurance. That sacrifice was noble. But there is a difference between compromise and erasure. I wasn't unhappy because Daniel worked long hours. I was unhappy because I no longer existed in his life as a person. I was an accessory to his success. By the time Chloe entered the picture, the marriage was already hollow. She didn't destroy something strong. She stepped into space that had been empty for a long time. And I knew it. That realization didn't make me furious. It made me tired. I discovered the truth about Chloe by accident. Daniel left his laptop open on the dining table. A notification appeared, her name, followed by a heart emoji. Words that once belonged to me. I didn't read everything. I read enough. They didn't talk like two people who had crossed a line. They talked like two people already living in a future where I didn't exist. Plans, inside jokes, complaints about me subtle, dismissive, cruel. I closed the laptop carefully, as if making noise might shatter the fragile calm holding me together. That night, Daniel came home late. He smelled like unfamiliar perfume and false confidence. He talked about work. He didn't look at me. I didn't accuse him. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. Because I saw it clearly then. If I screamed, he would deny it. If I cried, he would minimize it. If I begged, he would resent me. So I did none of those things. The next morning, I called Alawiyah. I gathered documents. Separated finances. Stopped sharing my thoughts, my fears, my plans. Daniel noticed the silence and misunderstood it. He thought I had surrendered. He thought I would stay. He was wrong. The day I packed my bags, Daniel asked why I was being so calm. Because I'm already gone, I told him. And this time, I'm not coming back. I didn't announce my departure on social media. I didn't post quotes about healing or empowerment. I simply left. 2 weeks after that final dinner, I packed what was mine and left everything else behind the apartment. The furniture, the life that no longer fit me. I moved to a small coastal town in Oregon called Harbor Ridge. It was quiet. Overlooked. Honest. The house I moved into had belonged to my grandmother. Modest. Weathered. Wrapped in salt air and climbing roses. She used to say, "Roots matter more than appearances." For the first time, I understood. No one there knew who I used to be. No one asked about my marriage. I wasn't Daniel Hart's wife anymore. I was just Elena. Healing didn't arrive with fireworks. It came through routine. Through silence that felt peaceful instead of empty. Through remembering who I was before I learned how to disappear. And slowly, something else began to surface. An idea. One Daniel had dismissed years ago as interesting but impractical. An idea that would change everything. The idea that returned to me in Harbor Ridge wasn't new. It had lived in the back of my mind for years, quietly waiting while I made myself smaller to fit into a marriage that no longer wanted me. It was something I had once shared with Daniel during one of those late nights when we still pretended to be partners. He had listened politely, nodded, then said the words that stayed with me far longer than they deserved. "It's clever, but it's not scalable. People like safe solutions, Elena." Standing in my grandmother's old kitchen, salt air drifting through the open window, I realized something important. Daniel had never lacked intelligence. What he lacked was imagination. He understood power, hierarchy, and optics. He did not understand vision. I began working quietly. No announcements. No investors. No validation seeking. I converted the spare bedroom into a walk space, set up a long wooden desk facing the window, and worked early mornings and late nights fueled by coffee and something stronger than ambition. Clarity. My idea was simple but dangerous to the wrong people. I wanted to build a platform that helped mid-sized companies audit internal inefficiencies using behavioral data rather than surface-level metrics. Not just numbers, but patterns. Not just output, but decision-making psychology. It was something I had intuitively understood during my marriage, watching how power shifts silently change behavior long before results show up on paper. I called it Lucent. Lucent wasn't about flashy dashboards or corporate jargon. It was about revealing what companies refuse to see about themselves. I tested it with small clients first. A shipping firm. A healthcare network. A logistics company on the brink of collapse. Within months, the results were undeniable. Reduced turnover. Faster decision cycles. Increased profit without layoffs. Clients didn't just like it. They depended on it. Word spread the way it always does when something actually works, quietly, then all at once. Within a year, Lucent had outgrown Arbor Ridge. I hired a small remote team, analysts, behavioral scientists, engineers who asked questions instead of pretending to know answers. We didn't chase press. We didn't court attention. We built something solid. By year 3, Lucent was being used by companies Daniel would have bragged about knowing. By year 4, acquisition offers started arriving. I ignored most of them. I wasn't interested in selling to people who saw Lucent as a tool. I wanted someone who understood it was a mirror. The offer that mattered came from Apex Stratagem Group. They didn't start with numbers. They started with questions. About intent. About ethics. About scale without dilution. 6 months of conversations followed. Careful, intentional, respectful. The final number came in on a quiet Tuesday morning. $350 million. All cash and equity. Full control retained. My role clearly defined. No vanity clauses. No silence agreements. No erasure. I signed without shaking. The press release went out 2 weeks later. That was when my old life finally caught up to me. Daniel called first. I didn't answer. Then again. Then again. Voicemails piled up. Confused, polite, then panicked. Chloe messaged me on LinkedIn. A carefully worded congratulations wrapped in insecurity. I didn't respond. The news traveled faster than explanation ever could. People talked. People compared. People remembered things they had once dismissed. Articles mentioned my name without referencing my marriage. And for the first time, that absence felt like justice. The real moment came 3 months later. Apex hosted a leadership summit in New York. Industry leaders, investors, board members. Daniel's firm was invited. Not because of him. Because of proximity. Because optics still mattered to him. I arrived late by choice. The room quieted when I walked in. Not dramatically. Not theatrically. Just enough. Recognition without spectacle. Respect without noise. Daniel saw me across the room. He froze. For a brief moment, I saw the man he used to be before entitlement calcified his empathy. Then the mask returned. He approached with practiced confidence. Hand extended. Smile rehearsed. "Elena," he said. "Congratulations." I had no idea. I looked at his hand and didn't take it. "That's true," I said calmly. "You didn't." He tried to laugh it off. "Well, you always were full of surprises." "No," I replied. "I was full of ideas. You just weren't listening." Chloe hovered nearby, unsure whether to stand or disappear. Daniel glanced at her, then back at me. "We should talk," he said quietly. "About everything. There's nothing left to talk about," I answered. "You made choices. I made mine." His voice dropped. "I made a mistake." "Yes," I said. "You did." There was no satisfaction in watching him struggle to reconcile the image he had built of me with the reality standing in front of him. Just confirmation. I left the event early, not because I needed to escape, but because I no longer needed to stay. Back in Harbor Ridge, life continued the way it always had, quiet, intentional, honest. I expanded the garden, restored the old house, took long walks along the coast, where the ocean reminded me that power doesn't announce itself. It simply exists. Sometimes people ask me if I regret not confronting Daniel, if I wish I had said more, done more, exposed him. I don't, because the most devastating consequence for someone like him isn't humiliation. It's irrelevance. I didn't win by outshining him. I won by outgrowing him. And the truth is this: walking away didn't make me powerful. It revealed the power I already had once I stopped giving it away. If you're listening to this and you feel invisible in your own life, understand something clearly. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Leaving doesn't mean failure. And choosing yourself isn't selfish. Sometimes the loudest revenge is peace. Sometimes the strongest answer is success without explanation. And sometimes the life you build quietly becomes the one no one can ever take from you.